Imagine that, in a single instant, every human being on Earth disappears. Cars keep moving, aircraft remain in the sky, machines continue running, and billions of lights still glow across the planet. For a few seconds, the modern world would look almost normal. Then empty highways, abandoned offices, silent homes, and driverless vehicles would reveal that something unprecedented had happened. On busy roads, cars and trucks would crash or roll to a stop. Trains with automatic safety systems might break, while other vehicles would continue until fuel, obstacles, or damaged infrastructure brought them to a halt. In the sky, commercial aircraft would remain on autopilot for some time. But without pilots, air traffic control, or functioning airports, most aircraft still in flight would eventually run out of fuel and crash. The first major transformation would begin inside the enormous electrical grids covering cities and countries. Power stations and substations constantly depend on human operators to balance electricity production with changing demand. Automatic systems would keep parts of the grid running temporarily. But faults, overloaded lines, and disrupted power stations would gradually trigger shutdowns and blackouts across large areas. Within hours or days, the familiar nighttime image of Earth would begin to change. Bright networks of cities seen from space would fade, leaving only scattered pockets of automated lighting. Nuclear power plants would not simply explode when their operators vanished. Reactors are designed to shut down automatically when serious problems occur, and most operating reactors would quickly stop producing nuclear power. But shutting down a reactor does not immediately remove its heat. Cooling systems would still be required, and without people maintaining pumps, backup generators, fuel supplies, and damaged equipment, some facilities could eventually suffer serious failures. Other industrial sites would face similar problems. Oil refineries, chemical plants, mines, and factories contain pressurized tanks, flammable materials, and machinery designed around continuous monitoring. Fires and explosions would probably break out in some industrial areas. Yet without fire crews, many would simply burn until their available fuel was exhausted, leaving blackened industrial ruins behind. At the same time, another invisible system would begin failing beneath the streets. Water treatment plants and pumping stations require electricity and maintenance to keep clean water moving through underground pipes. As pumps stopped, taps would run dry and sewage systems would fail. In some cities, underground tunnels and subway stations would slowly begin filling with groundwater that is currently removed by powerful pumps. New York, London, Tokyo, Shanghai, and countless other cities would suddenly become enormous abandoned structures. Elevators would stop, traffic lights would go dark, and glass office towers would stand completely empty. But humans would not be the only creatures affected. Hundreds of millions of pets would remain trapped inside houses and apartments, while livestock would still be confined inside farms and industrial barns. Many domesticated animals would die because they depend completely on humans for food, water, shelter, or controlled breeding. Others would escape and begin forming wild or feral populations. Dogs, cats, pigs, goats, horses, and cattle would face very different chances of survival depending on climate and location. Animals capable of finding food and adapting to local ecosystems would have the greatest advantage. Within weeks, nature would begin moving into places from which humans had kept it away. Grass would grow across neglected gardens, weeds would appear through pavement cracks, and climbing plants would spread over fences and walls. Wild animals would also explore the empty streets. Deer, wild boar, monkeys, bears, foxes, and other adaptable species already enter cities today when human activity becomes quiet. Now there would be no traffic, hunting, construction, or crowds to drive them back. Parks, suburbs, railway corridors, and abandoned industrial land would become pathways for expanding wildlife. After several seasons, the disappearance of maintenance would become increasingly visible. Fallen branches would remain on roads, drainage systems would clog, and storms would damage roofs without anyone repairing them. Water would become one of the greatest forces dismantling human civilization. Rain entering small cracks in concrete would freeze and expand in cold climates, slowly breaking roads, bridges, and buildings apart. Steel reinforcement hidden inside concrete would begin to rust. As corrosion expanded, sections of balconies, bridges, tunnels, and high-rise structures would weaken and eventually collapse. Wooden houses in humid regions could deteriorate much faster. Without ventilation, repairs, pest control, or replacement roofs, fungi, insects, moisture, and storms would gradually destroy entire neighborhoods. Not every building would disappear at the same speed. Massive stone monuments, underground structures, tunnels, dams, and carefully engineered foundations could survive far longer than lightweight modern buildings. Some of humanity's largest structures would create new dangers. Dams require inspection, controlled water levels, mechanical gates, and repairs, even though many are designed to function safely for long periods without constant intervention. Over decades or centuries, some neglected dams would eventually weaken or overflow. Their failure could release enormous reservoirs, flooding valleys and allowing rivers to carve new paths through former human landscapes. Meanwhile, satellites would continue circling Earth. Some would remain in orbit for years or far longer, while lower satellites would gradually lose altitude and burn up in the atmosphere. The International Space Station would not remain a permanent monument in the sky. Without regular orbital adjustments, its orbit would slowly decay, and it would eventually re-enter Earth's atmosphere. Back on the surface, entire agricultural landscapes would transform. Fields of wheat, corn, and rice would no longer be planted, irrigated, fertilized, or protected from competing vegetation. Over years and decades, former farmland would become grassland, shrubland, forest, or other ecosystems depending on climate. The transformation would not recreate some perfect prehistoric wilderness, because humans have already changed ecosystems and moved species around the planet. Some invasive species would continue spreading. Others might decline when roads, irrigation systems, farms, and international transport no longer support the conditions that help them thrive. Ocean ecosystems would experience another major change. Industrial fishing would stop instantly, along with commercial shipping, many forms of coastal development, and most human-generated underwater noise. Some fish populations could recover significantly over time, although warming oceans, plastic pollution, damaged habitats, and existing chemical contamination would not disappear just because humans had vanished. The atmosphere would change more slowly. Cars, aircraft, factories, and fossil fuel power stations would stop releasing large amounts of new carbon dioxide, but the carbon dioxide already in the atmosphere would remain for a very long time. Global temperatures would therefore not instantly return to pre-industrial conditions. The climate system, oceans, ice sheets, and carbon cycle respond across decades, centuries, and even longer periods. After a century, many cities would be difficult to recognize from ground level. Trees could rise through streets, roots would break pavement, and collapsed buildings would form artificial cliffs covered with vegetation. After several centuries, steel towers and concrete bridges would mostly be ruins in many climates. Yet stone structures, ceramics, glass, some plastics, landfills, mines, and altered landscapes could continue revealing that an industrial civilization once existed. Even thousands of years later, humanity would not vanish without a trace. Archaeologists from some hypothetical future species could still discover tunnels, foundations, artificial chemicals, radioactive isotopes, plastics, metals, and enormous changes preserved in sediments. The strangest result would be that Earth itself would continue perfectly well without us. Rivers would still flow, forests would grow, storms would cross oceans, animals would compete, and continents would keep moving. Human civilization feels permanent because roads, buildings, power grids, farms, and cities surround us every day. Yet almost all of them survive only because millions of people continuously inspect, repair, clean, operate, and rebuild them. If humanity suddenly disappeared, nature would not immediately erase our world. It would slowly dismantle it, season by season, storm by storm, root by root, until our civilization became another layer in Earth's history. And perhaps that is the most remarkable part of this thought experiment. Our cities may dominate the landscape today, but the planet beneath them is far older, more powerful, and more persistent than anything we have built. If you enjoy exploring questions about our planet, science, and the strange possibilities of our world, leave a like and subscribe to WunderAtlas World for more journeys like this. Until the next wonder.